This is absolutely disgusting. What we witnessed last night wasn't wrestling, it was a calculated assault, and the WWE allowed it to happen right under their noses. Seth Rollins, one of the most decorated superstars in WWE history, is now in a hospital bed fighting through injuries that could potentially end his career, and I'm about to expose exactly how Bron Breakker and Bronco Reed orchestrated one of the most heinous attacks we've ever seen in professional wrestling. If you're not furious after watching this, then you haven't been paying attention to what's really going on behind the scenes. Let me paint you the full picture of what went down, because the mainstream wrestling media is conveniently leaving out critical details that make this situation even more infuriating. Seth Rollins was backstage, minding his own business, preparing for what should have been a routine promo segment. He had no idea that Bron Breakker and Reed had been plotting this ambush for weeks. Sources close to the locker room have confirmed to Wrestling Zone Insider that this attack was premeditated, methodically planned, and executed with surgical precision designed to inflict maximum damage. Here's the question I need you to answer in the comments. Do you think WWE management knew about this attack beforehand and did nothing to stop it? Drop your thoughts below because this conspiracy goes deeper than you think. The attack itself was absolutely brutal. Bron Breakker, this powerhouse who's been on an absolute tear through the roster, blindsided Rollins from behind with a devastating spear that sent Seth crashing through equipment cases. But that wasn't enough for these animals. Reed immediately followed up with a thunderous splash that left Rollins gasping for air, his ribs potentially fractured from the sheer impact. Security was nowhere to be found during those critical first moments, and that's what makes me question everything about WWE's so-called safety protocols. But here's where it gets even more disturbing. As Rollins lay there defenseless, barely conscious from the initial assault, Breakker dragged him across the concrete floor like a piece of garbage and drove his knee repeatedly into Seth's lower back. Medical professionals who reviewed the footage have told Wrestling Zone Insider that those strikes could have caused serious spinal damage. Meanwhile, Reed was clearing a path of destruction, throwing equipment and threatening anyone who dared to intervene. These weren't wrestling moves, these were criminal acts captured on camera for the entire world to see. Trivia question for the comments: how many times has Seth Rollins been WWE World Heavyweight Champion? First person to answer correctly gets pinned. The medical staff finally arrived approximately 4 minutes after the attack began. 4 minutes. Let that sink in. Seth Rollins was being systematically destroyed for 4 whole minutes before anyone with medical training could reach him. By the time they loaded him onto the stretcher, his right shoulder was visibly dislocated, there was blood streaming from a gash above his eye, and he was clutching his midsection in absolute agony. Witnesses backstage said they've never heard someone scream in pain the way Seth was screaming as they wheeled him to the ambulance. Now before we continue, we have a quick request for you. We are constantly working to improve our content to earn your love and support. That's why we would truly appreciate it if you could take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update here on Wrestling Zone Insider. The hospital reports that have been leaked to insiders paint an even grimmer picture. Seth Rollins is dealing with 3 fractured ribs, a grade 2 shoulder separation, a severe concussion, deep tissue bruising across his entire back, and potential internal injuries that require further testing. His wife, Becky Lynch, rushed to the hospital and has been by his side ever since, absolutely devastated by what happened to her husband. Sources say she's been demanding answers from WWE management, asking why there wasn't adequate security presence backstage when everyone knew tensions had been escalating between Seth and these 2 monsters. Let me ask you this, and I want you to really think about it before you answer in the comments: is this the kind of product we want to support? Is this the direction WWE should be heading, where legitimate injuries and career-threatening attacks are being used for entertainment? Because I'm struggling to find the entertainment value in watching one of the greatest performers of this generation get hospitalized. Comment section challenge: tell us your favorite Seth Rollins moment of all time. Is it his heist of the century at WrestleMania 31? His matches with AJ Styles? Let us know below. What makes this situation exponentially worse is the response from Bron Breakker and Reed after the attack. Instead of showing any remorse, any humanity, these guys went on social media and bragged about what they did. Breakker posted a photo with the caption, "That's what happens when you stand in my way," while Reed simply wrote, "Consider this a warning." A warning? This man is in the hospital, potentially facing career-ending injuries, and you're treating it like some kind of badge of honor? The wrestling community has absolutely erupted in response to this attack. Legends like Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mick Foley, and even The Rock have weighed in on social media, condemning the brutality and questioning where WWE draws the line between storyline intensity and genuine safety concerns. Meanwhile, fans are organizing boycotts, trending hashtags demanding justice for Seth Rollins, and calling for Bron Breakker and Reed to face serious consequences for their actions. Here's what we've learned from backstage sources. Apparently, there had been heat building between Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker for months. Seth had been vocal about younger talent needing to earn their spot rather than being handed opportunities, and Breakker took that personally. Reed got involved because he's been aligned with Breakker's aggressive campaign to dominate the roster, but nobody, and I mean nobody, expected them to take things this far. This crossed every line imaginable in professional wrestling. Quick trivia: what year did Seth Rollins win the Royal Rumble? Answer in the comments. The WWE has released an official statement calling the attack reprehensible and completely unacceptable, and they've announced that both Bron Breakker and Reed have been indefinitely suspended pending an investigation. But is that really enough? We're talking about an attack that sent a man to the hospital, an attack that was premeditated and executed with the intent to cause serious harm. Some legal analysts who specialize in sports law have suggested that Seth Rollins could potentially press criminal charges for assault, and honestly, I wouldn't blame him one bit if he did. What's particularly heartbreaking about this situation is the timing. Seth Rollins was on the verge of entering what many considered to be the prime run of his career. He'd been having absolute banger matches week after week, his character work had never been better, and he was scheduled for a major storyline heading into the next pay-per-view. Now all of that is in jeopardy because two reckless individuals decided that their egos were more important than someone's health and safety. The recovery timeline for Seth is still unclear. Doctors have told him he needs to take things day by day, but the initial prognosis suggests he could be out of action for anywhere from 3 to 6 months, possibly longer depending on how his body responds to treatment. For a performer like Seth Rollins, who lives and breathes this business, being forced to sit on the sidelines is torture. But the reality is that rushing back too soon could result in permanent damage that would end his career entirely. Let me know in the comments, should Seth Rollins consider legal action against Breakker and Reed, or should this be handled internally by WWE? I want to hear your perspective on this because this situation is unprecedented in modern wrestling. The locker room itself is reportedly divided on how to handle this. Some wrestlers are calling for Breakker and Reed to be fired immediately, sent packing with no possibility of return. Others believe in second chances and think that a lengthy suspension combined with mandatory counseling might be the appropriate response. But here's my take: when you cross the line from performance to genuine assault, when you put someone in the hospital with injuries that could end their career, you've forfeited your right to be part of this industry. Wrestling Zone Insider will continue following this story as it develops. We'll be bringing you exclusive updates on Seth Rollins' condition, any legal developments that emerge, and the ultimate fate of Bron Breakker and Reed. This is a story that's going to have massive ramifications for WWE moving forward, and you can bet that we'll be here to cover every single detail. If you care about Seth Rollins, if you care about the future of professional wrestling, then smash that like button, subscribe to Wrestling Zone Insider, and share this video with everyone you know. We need to send a message that this kind of behavior is unacceptable, and the only way we do that is by standing together as a community. Drop your thoughts, your reactions, and your prayers for Seth's recovery in the comments below. This is Wrestling Zone Insider, and we'll see you in the next one.